4, get my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great. 9, gonna shine, life is good. I'm doing fine. 10, gonna do it right and do it again, yeah. I look into the sky with all the beautiful color, but there's more than just for me, so gonna share it with another. I got to show, to give, let out. I want to sing and shout. Take a look and see a beautiful morning that turns into a beautiful evening, and together make a beautiful life. And if you wanna see, then come along with me, that's right. And if you wanna...
Welcome to Experience Michiana. We're so glad you're here joining us. It's a beautiful day today. I hope it's a great day for you too. We have a wonderful lineup for you. This week we want you to check out the well-crafted series put together in partnership with the Elkhart County Convention and Visitor Bureau. That's a really great one. You want to make sure you get all the details on that. Next up, we head over to Judith Racht. I love her stuff. She's amazing, and we have a couple of new exhibitions that are going to be displayed. You want to get the details on how to see all of that. But first up, we're right here at Island Park in Elkhart. We're going to talk to you about Rhapsody Arts and Music Festival. You don't want to miss out on that one. It's that time of year again. It's time for the Rhapsody Arts and Music Festival. We're here in Elkhart. I have my friend Liz with me. Thank you for joining me today. It's a beautiful day today.
It is a beautiful day.
I hope we get this weather for the festival too, right?
I very much hope so. Weather was not our best friend last year. It still was a beautiful festival and had a lot of people out, but yeah, the rain kind of deterred a lot of people from coming.
But
so
it does happen rain or shine, right?
It does happen rain or shine.
Okay. Bring
So
your umbrella.
Definitely bring your umbrella, poncho, all of that. The stage is covered, so all of our musicians are protected from that aspect.
Wonderful.
And then we do have a couple of shelters that you're able to kind of hide into if needed.
Now, you guys have been doing this for a number of years, over 4 decades, right?
46 years.
46 years.
It's
That's
insane.
amazing.
It's the longest running festival in Elkhart, so we get to hold that
kudos to
title.
that. That's awesome. So I know you guys have grown over the years, right? And now we have this beautiful space. I see that you guys have taken out some of the things that used to be here, right?
We did. So for the longest time, we had benches in our band shell, and it just gets a little crowded. People were wanting to get up and dance and groove and do all their things. So we've done a little bit different layout this year. The stage will be up on the north side. And it will give a chance for people to bring their own lawn chairs and blankets and all that. We'll have the picnic tables available if you don't want to lug everything with you. But it's going to be a really good time. I'm really excited to see people get more interactive with the band.
And that's some of the change, but really, let's talk about what makes this festival so wonderful and why people keep coming back every year.
It really is the conglomeration of everything. So along with our 8 bands that we'll have performing, we have over 50 artists and vendors and makers and crafters that will be out here. And then we have our food court area with over 20 food trucks.
Oh, so you're going to eat. You're going to eat good when you come here.
We have the barbecue. We have the
breakfast
tenderloins. We will on Saturday.
I mean, really, you could eat pizza for breakfast anytime.
I mean, you really could. Got the pretzels and the pizzas.
Yeah, there you go.
But we are adding a new component this year over, we're expanded so much, we're back over on the Lundquist Bicentennial side of Island Park, where we will have our family zone. They have their own family entertainment stage area.
Oh, really? So what happens in the family zone?
So over there is more of our like interactive craft. So you bring the kiddos, you have the bigger family. We have Elkhart Art League will be over there. Honey Pot Studios will be doing a couple of craft items. Growing Kids is our main family zone sponsor, so they'll have an area where you can do a lot of things with them. This year we added a couple of carnival rides. I hate to call them that because they're not like the intense ones. But we have the giant slide that you get to go down.
Oh, that's
a little
fun
house to walk through.
Yeah.
And then Five Star Life will be out here, and they will have their climbing wall as well.
It seems like, how do you fit it all in here?
Right?
Plus all the people who come. How many people usually come out for this?
We usually average between 20 and 30,000, depending on the weather.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's
2
a lot.
days, not all at once.
Okay.
And they are big days. On Friday, we do start at noon. Food courts will be open, the vendors will be open, and then live music starts at 5.
Okay.
And then on Saturday, it is a full day, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We do our weekly farmers market here in Elkhart.
Yeah.
Normally over at Curgely Park, just off of Nibco Parkway. But we're going to bring them over and let them experience Rhapsody. So
That's
all
awesome.
of our farmers market vendors with their fresh produce and everything will be over here. So yeah, it's going to be a really big day.
That is, now, for those who haven't been to this space before, how do we get onto the island? Because I know I was crossing the bridge and I was like, how does this work.
Yeah, not allowed to drive on island.
Okay.
Please don't. You will get turned around. But we do have several parking spots available. If you're coming from the north side, you can enter off of Beardsley. There is parking at our High Dive Pavilion, along with Ericsell lets us use their overflow parking.
Okay, great.
We have Lundquist Bicentennial Park with their parking lot, Beacon Aquatic Centers right there. So there's plenty of public parking around that area. And then on the west side, right behind Main Street, is another public parking spot. ADA is right off of Sycamore Street on the west side.
Okay, good. So you have
we
some extra
do
resources
have,
available to get people
specific
here.
parking lot, and then we do
Okay.
have our shuttles. Once you hit any of those bridges, we will put you on a shuttle and get you where you need to be.
There you go. So people need to bring their lawn chair, their
Yep.
blanket to hang out here.
Yep.
But you have food here.
We have food.
Bring your money because you're
bring
going to be
your
spending
money.
some with those vendors, I'm sure.
Yes. And like you said, there will be breakfast, there will be lunch, there will be dinner available.
It is a family environment and it's free.
It is free, yes.
I mean, that's amazing. Thanks to our sponsors who are doing something
Yes,
like that.
so we have plenty of sponsors. Legacy Heating and Air is one of them. Jayco Waste Away group donates a lot of in-kind possibilities for us. And then, like I said, Growing Kids with our family zone.
That's
so.
amazing. What a wonderful way to bring the community together. And this, like you said, this is one of the biggest things that happens in Elkhart County.
This is kind of
or in Elkhart.
Elkhart City.
Okay.
County, we do get a little competition from the county fair and things like that.
We like that too. We
But
do.
within the city limits, this is our longest running, one of our biggest. People look forward to it every year. And definitely being able to add more activities for them to do has been...
And it keeps growing.
Hey, I know, right? I love it.
So sooner or later, we're going to be in the water.
No. I mean, we do have our electro fishing that are down there. So they have their little boat. So that is through our public works department.
Okay.
And they are kind of like our fish education people.
Sure.
So they go in, they have tanks that they set up. You can interact. They talk about the fish. The ones that are actually living in our Elkhart River, St. Joe River, they have their boat out there that they will drive around and let people interact with them. So yeah, it's really very educational.
Now that's really cool too. I love that. So we got education wrapped into this too.
Oh yeah, you're gonna learn something when you come to.
And all of the vendors too. How do we find out about the lineup? Or do you want to talk about the lineup today, or of all of the different musicians that we have? You said there's 8 different.
We have 8 different musicians.
Okay.
Kicks off on Friday at 5. We have Memphis Underground that takes the stage at 6.
I love them. That's classic. I mean, we're like jazz central here.
Yeah, and then followed up by King Bee and the Stingers, which is a blues band actually out of Bloomington.
Oh, nice.
They were at our blues festival in September, and the crowd fell in love with them. And I was like,
You're coming. Love it.
You're coming back. And then on Saturday, right at 10 a.m., Caitlin Faust will be singing over at the farmers market.
Yeah.
Levi Lamberjack will then kick things off on the main stage at noon.
Okay.
And then the 2 o'clock will be our Test of Time, which is Dave Kilgren, which is one of our local favorites that plays a lot of our local establishments. And then we have BNTB, formerly known as Blame Not the Bard, so our kind of Irish folk.
Oh,
that will be coming out. 6 o'clock will be Daryl Buchanan, another local favorite, with all of your favorites that he sings. And then we're really excited because this our 8 o'clock, our headliner, has been coming up a lot, and it's Teague Holt and the Lonesome Pine. So he's been getting a lot of recognition just locally here in the area. He's currently down in Indy doing great things, getting his
these are the local
contact.
and regional artists that you guys are bringing in here, which is really great to showcase that.
It is. And we want to boost our economy both on that side, but also you want your favorites. You want the people you know and see and love and be able to come support them as well.
All the more reason to get here. Now, when is this happening?
Oh, yeah, the dates. So next Friday, June 12th, is our start date, and then continues on to Saturday, June 13th.
And how can people get information if they want to see like the vendors and the different times that they need to be here for the different
So
musicians?
Our Facebook page, which is at Elkhart Parks, both Facebook and Instagram, will be running everything you need to know between now and then about our musicians, our artists, and also what to bring, not to bring.
Sure.
And then always our website, which is cityofelkhart.in.gov /parks, and we'll give you all that information.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Liz. I hope you guys have an amazing turnout, and it's going to be perfect weather, right?
I'm so excited.
It is. And even if it's not, you guys are still
Please
coming out.
come.
Bring your ponchos.
We will be out here rain or shine, believe
I love
you
it.
me.
I love it. Thanks.
I'm here at the Elkhart County Convention and Visitor Bureau, and I'm here with Terry. Terry, this time of the year, the sun is shining, lots of people in town. How busy is Elkhart County for outside tourists? Because is it just people traveling through, or is it actually a destination for a lot of people?
Yeah, it's a lot of people coming in, whether they're coming here for the quilt gardens or to experience Amish country or to just really experience all the multifaceted things we have here. So it's June's a great month to explore and see public art.
Yeah, because often, when you live somewhere, you don't really, you don't see it through the eyes of a tourist, but there's so many things and so many reasons for people to want to come here. So what are some of the things that are going on throughout the month?
So, I think one of the big highlights for a lot of people is the Elkhart Jazz Festival. That's happening later this month, but there's also Goshen First Fridays and the cruise-ins at the Essen House and Elkhart Art Walk. There's just many things to do just while you're also seeing things like the quilt gardens and public art. Yeah.
And so you talk about the quilt gardens. What's the season for that, for people to be able to see them?
So the quilt gardens will run until September 15th, and really by about the end of June, we'll probably start hitting the peak. The flowers will have filled in a little bit, and you'll really start to see the patterns. And many of them have patterns that are either historical in nature, or they are specifically honoring America's 250th with some star-spangled type themes.
Nice, I like that. And so our quilt gardens, what's the history behind them here? Why is it so popular here? And does this happen in every community, or is it pretty prevalent here compared?
The quilt gardens are one of a kind. It started here because of our quilting heritage, like many of our Amish, but also the rest of our community are really, we're devoted to that craft of quilting. And then we combined that with flowers, and that made for a perfect summertime attraction.
Yeah. And so is that one of the biggest reasons why people do come in from outside to see these? What is it?
It is. It brings people in, but then as you're visiting each quilt garden, you then discover that there are some cool things to do, whether you're in Elkhart or Goshen or Middlebury, that there are parks or restaurants that they can go check out as well.
And I know that the trails here lately have been getting a lot of attention as well across the country. So what are some of the other reasons that you see people coming into the area?
So the Pumpkin Vine Nature Trail is wonderful. It was recently rated the Reader's Choice Award by USA Today readers. And so that was pretty impressive because they beat out some well-known trails in larger areas. But it's a really wonderful ride. It connects Goshen, Middlebury, and Shipshewana, and then through other trails you can extend that and go into downtown Elkhart even. Yeah.
No, it's great. And again, one of the things when I first moved to this area, people were like, why would you move here? And I'm like, there's lots of great things here. So, and I know that you're constantly trying to promote that, and that's one of the reasons we have Experience Michiana as a show. So what would you say to local people who haven't necessarily experienced Elkhart County? Maybe they don't think of it as a destination.
I would say find your favorites. Whatever your interest is, I'm pretty confident you'll be able to find an activity or a program that matches that. My wife and I love public gardens, so the Wellfield Botanic Gardens is a must-see for us in the summer with their summer concert series. But the place to start is ElkhartCountyEvents.com. You can search by date, by community, or by type of activity. It could be arts, it could be theater, or music.
Yeah, and I know that we have a well-crafted series that we're highlighting here in Experience Michiana. So tell me a little bit about this episode that we're about to watch with Sunday. So
Sunday Mahaja came here to study at Goshen College and really kind of fell in love with this area. He developed some relationships and got interested in metal sculpting, and he's stayed in this area, and his artwork is just wonderful, striking. It's very it really grabs your attention when you see it out when you're walking about. And then, you can see Sunday at local art shows, art fairs. He's all over the area. I think he's been as far north as Grand Rapids for Art Prize. Besides Sunday, there are many wonderful public sculpture artists out there who have their works in the area.
All right, well, let's have a look. Let's learn more about them.
Hi, my name is Sunday Mahaja. I'm originally from Nigeria. At the time, I'd always wanted to be an athlete, a basketball player. So I moved to England and traveled quite a bit. And I got contacted by an agent who connected me to Goshen College. So I came to Goshen College as a student athlete. And since then, after I graduated, I've remained in the city of Goshen. While I was in college, I picked interest in sculpture after meeting my professor at the time, John Mishler, who's also a sculptor, and now he's my mentor. When I took sculpture, I saw that it was coming to me more naturally, and there wasn't my kind of style very common in these areas. I always describe myself or my work as someone who breathed life into discarded material. So I take recycled metal and I give it a new life, which is not something that is so much common in this area. So usually my process from collecting metal to becoming a finished product would be me just sorting for different metal based on their shape or the thickness. Unlike most artists or most sculptors, they will already have an image in their head they wanted to create or have a sketch. I don't really sketch. I'm not a sketch type of guy. So I collect the metal, and in the process of me thinking of something to make, whatever shape that I could see in the metal would determine where I'll go from it. So if I want to make a bird, for example, I take a metal that doesn't quite look like a bird, but I put the pieces together once it starts to look like a bird. So I use my MIG welder to put the metals together until I could get a definite shape that I want. And then I go through the process of grinding it down to take like all the old oil and rust out of it to give it the distinct look that I want it to look. There was one series of pieces that I made. It was called the Holy Family. So the Holy Family, which I have them in the yard there, is it's a mother and child, basically Mary and Joseph. So it will be the nativity scene from the Bible. At the time I made that, immigration was a thing everyone was talking about. And as an immigrant, I always take ideas of what is going on around me to put it into a piece that I'm creating. So in my mind, I thought like the oldest immigration story that I could think of would be Mary and Joseph leaving Bethlehem and running away from the law and all that stuff. So immigration has always been a huge part of my life, because behind every work that I put out there, there's always a story about it. And most people like to hear the story behind each work. And that way I get them engaged, because primarily my work could be also described as me taking something or event that has happened in the past and recreating it in my own way for people to see. And one typical example would be the Mount of Hiroshima, where the US Marine are raising a flag on the Mount of Hiroshima. So I took that photograph and I recreated that in metal. So there's always that intricateness into my work that people like to know where the story is coming from. So the people who buy my art are very important to me. I started off selling my art to people in the community. They're very supportive. They'll come out to my shows, to my talk, and follow me when I go to shows, even outside the community. And they've been supportive by buying and encouraging me and pushing me to the next level.
Once again, we are at the Judith Racht Gallery, and Judith, we're so thankful to see you and that you're willing to share another great exhibit with us. Tell us about what this exhibit is. It features a couple of different artists.
Yes.
What is it, and why did you put this one together?
Well, Clifford came, and he was so persistent that I kind of looked and looked again and looked again. And I decided that it would be a good show with Sarah. His is bright and colorful and has this magic to it that, you know, you wouldn't believe he's almost 80 years old. It's so full of life and energy. And then Sarah lives on the lake, and she has this peaceful calm. And I thought the two would make a good pair. You know, you go in one room and you see all this color, and then you go in the other room and you see all this wonderful stillness, calm.
Now today, you were nice enough to bring the artists in so that we could talk to them. And so we're gonna have a chance to let each artist kind of tell their story and share with us their work.
Yes, and you have to make sure that you get the whole story, because Clifford has a history, and his wife does too, of artists. They're both artists, and he's been an artist for a long time. And Sarah is so talented. Well, you'll have to talk to her about the techniques she uses to make these paintings have real depth.
Well, thank you so much for letting us know about
Thank
this
you.
show, and we look forward. We're going to talk to the artist now. And now I'm here with Clifford. And Clifford, Judith talked about that you've been doing art for a long time. Kind of tell us your story in an abbreviated version. How did you get started in art, and how long have you been doing it?
Well, I've been doing it since the last millennium. I started out in the 60s, actually. We had a neighbor and church member who was an artist, and I was very inspired by her work. She showed me many, many works, and I took a whole bunch home one day, and based upon looking at all these, I just started painting and drawing and haven't stopped since.
So what kind of art do you do? And do you do a variety of mediums, or are you one kind of specific?
In the last few years, almost everything I do is based upon drawing. During the pandemic, I did probably well over 1,000 drawings. And from some of these, I derived paintings that I either paint on canvas or on paper, or I put into a computer and do various transformations of the works.
So this exhibit, tell us, does it have a name, and what kind of works will we see here?
I think the overall exhibit we call is Circling the Square Between Earth, Sky, and Lake. So circling implies abstraction, and the Earth, Sky, and Lake implies nature. So I think I'm somewhere between abstraction and naturalistic painting.
And tell us about this piece that we're standing in front of.
This is a piece I did some years ago. I have a barn where I work, and it's somewhat open. And so as I was painting, butterflies would actually come in and land on a color that would be the flower they were hoping to find, like here or here. And so I called this butterfly vision. But it's part of a series in this scale that I just really let go and use big strokes, bold strokes and bold color. And it's a lot of fun, and I hope people appreciate it for that.
There's another couple of works that you wanted to share with us. Can we walk over there and see those? Tell us about these.
I have a whole series of paintings that I call Brain Tree because of the form, the drawn form of a neck or a trunk that becomes a head or the foliage of a tree. So I wanted to do these very simply, but have a background that would give it some variety. So I had splurged on a set of 100 different watercolor paints by Sennelier in France, who provided paints for most of the well-known French painters of the 19th and 20th century. And so I just went through the whole palette of paintings, made the squares, and then every other square, every other square, I made a form that could be either a tree or a human head, and put them together as a diptych so that they could be shown either together or individually.
Okay, so Sarah, tell us your story. How did you get started in the world of art?
Well, I was actually trained as a class assistant. I was a Latin teacher for many, many years, and I started taking workshops, mostly in printmaking, and I found that I became more and more obsessed with printmaking and less obsessed with teaching Latin, and the rest has become history.
So you have an exhibit here. Explain, what is this exhibit? Does it have a theme, and what kind of art are we going to see here?
Well, the theme is the lake, which I've lived next to or very close to for much of my life, and the various moods that the lake has and evokes in me. And the media are, it's two different kind of media. I've worked in collage, which this is an example of. And then the other style in this particular show are encaustic paintings, which are pigmented wax paintings. And they sort of reflect different moods and very different styles of work.
Tell us about this piece.
So this is an example of one of my collages. And I think because I started out as a printmaker, I was working with these beautiful Japanese papers, and I realized I just couldn't stand, once you'd made a print, to put it behind glass. So I was trying to figure out a way of working with these papers and not having, and freeing them from the frame and the glass. And so I started collaging with them. And so these are layers and layers of very, very thin Japanese washi papers and other tissue papers and hand-painted papers. And I layer them on, and I work very fast and sort of free. I'm only allowed, I have a rule that I can only tear the paper. So the only straight lines are the lines that came from the beautiful decal edge of one of the pages. And I'm always sort of putting things down and then realizing I've made a mistake and tearing things back. And, you know, that can be heartbreaking. This painting actually probably took about 2 years because I had some start and it wasn't working, and I kept on working at it and it wasn't working, and finally just tore it all down. And of course it's so exciting because it just ended up telling me what to do. It became something very different, and you get this kind of wonderful palimpsest effect that I couldn't have created intentionally. So that's that.
It feels like summer out here. I hope you are enjoying it, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week on Experience Michiana.
Want more from Courtney, Dave, and Kelly? Follow us on social media and visit our website for exclusive behind-the-scenes content, extended interviews, and full-length features. Stay connected and experience it all today. This WNIT local production has been made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.